What is going on today, guys? Welcome to episode 6 of Monday Metal Mayhem. We've made it 6 weeks. I can't believe it myself. All right, so this week's episode was basically my attempt to write a short track that has a lot of open space and airiness to it while still kind of hitting pretty hard and having a lot of layers. So, that's basically the premise of what this track was all about. All right, first off, I want to mention that I was using this Ibanez RGA622WH. This is a phenomenal guitar. It's a prestige model made in Japan and can't be beat. DiMarzio pickups, that thing is solid. That's one of my favorite guitars for metal, for shred type work. It's great. Anyways, okay, so we're running that guitar into Logic, and for pretty much all of the tracks, I'm using Neural DSP's Soldano SLO 100X. Each week I try to use a different amp sim and kind of stick with the same one for all of the tracks. It's very easy to get good tones with this amp. First off, let's start with the rhythm guitars. And generally, I don't use extremely heavy gain for the rhythm tracks. I mean, I could, but I kind of like to dial it back so that you can hear a little more note definition generally. Here is the basic rhythm riff that started the whole song off. So a few months ago, I had actually done a YouTube short where I kind of detailed how I made a laser type guitar tone. And this is very similar, completely different method to get to it, but here's what it sounds like. And this thing just sounds amazing on its own. It kind of sounds like it's underwater. I've got some nice post effects going on there. Here is the trick to that. What you want to do is stack 2 amp sims on top of each other. No one ever mentions this, but it's a great technique if you want to get a really interesting, unique type of sound. And I'll just put it up on screen here so you guys can see, steal these moves if you want to. That's fine with me. Just try any 2 amp sims or the same amp sims stacked on top of each other. And yes, I'm running both cabs, both amplifiers. I'm doing moves on both. The only thing I'm eliminating on the second one is the post effect. So I'm just running off of the first one here, delay and reverb, but I never see anybody else do this. And yeah, you get some phase issues with this, so that can be a concern, but it's kind of what I'm going for in this particular tone, and it just works really well. So give that one a shot if you haven't. It's a fun way to just get some completely unique and different sounds. I just did that in the beginning of the song just to give it a little added texture. So I just ran that right down the middle. I didn't bother double tracking that. I just needed a little bit of that laser type tone to kind of fill it in and give a little more pulse to the song at this point. This song basically was going to originally be just a whole solo section. And it still could do lead work over it, but I ended up just not doing that. I wanted to just kind of hear the space and the airiness in the track itself. After that intro, we go into some chugs, which is always fun. The zeros and the ones. In that ambient lead, I did the same thing. I've got the 2 amp sims stacked on top of each other. I think I just did, I tweaked the amount of gain on these, and I used a different pedal. But mess around with that. It's really a lot of fun. I think that's something that I just don't see anyone else doing that, and I don't know why they're not doing it. It makes sense for something different. All right, then we get to the heart of the song, which it's going to have multiple rhythms going at the same time. And then down here, we've got some clean guitars. Yes, I do cleans all the time. We get some clean guitars added in toward the end. So let's check that out too. So none of these tones is really heavy gain, and it still hits pretty hard. It still gets the point across without kind of smashing your head in with a mallet with the heavy gain. I like to use lower gain settings generally. It's just kind of my thing. And then here at the bottom, I added in some synth stuff just to kind of fill it in a little bit, something interesting for your ear to kind of grab onto. This synth here is actually Isotope's Iris 2. I don't know, I just found a preset there, tweaked it subtly. A little bit of EQ, cut out the low end, of course, and it's just a nice little background pulse. A little neutron transient shaper, and then a compressor to make sure those transients stay tamped down. You just want it kind of in the background, and a little bit of tremolo on it as well, just to give it a little more flavor to it. Real simple. And then the bottom synth tone was actually just a Logic loop. So let's check that out on its own. Simple sounds. Again, I'm using a lot of automation to kind of make sure that whatever I want to be most prominent in that portion of the song is. So in this case, I generally use volume swells up and down on stuff like synth layers because you want it to kind of fade in and fade out. That's what works for me. And that's what I did here. Yeah, again, I do a lot with the gain moves, which I mentioned last week too. Placing a gain plugin as your last slot on any track allows you to alter the volume automated without messing with the faders here. So you can always utilize the faders later on when you're mixing or mastering or what have you, and it won't affect any of the automation that's already built in, kind of baked in with the gain plugin that I stick on most of the tracks. So that's a good trick. And let's check out the bass tone here. This week I'm actually using Parallax. I was kind of going back and forth between two different tones, but I stuck with this one. So here are my settings. I'll just put it up on screen now and we'll listen to the bass on its own. Nothing too interesting, I guess, but it does get the point across. And it's not super heavily saturated. I prefer to hear the more clankiness and more of the note definition, even of the bass. This week, the drums was a little bit simplified. I just stuck it in there as a stereo instance. I didn't bother to multi-output all of the channels, which I would do if I was going to release a song, but time constraints this week, guys. So I just kind of hustled it and just put this in a stereo instance, and it's not bad, I guess. So for the main channel here, I'm always doing a little bit of EQ, and then good old distressor, right? I'm running it at 6 to 1, and it's pretty subtle. It's not doing a whole lot there. And I actually just used the preset, just subtle tweaks on that. And then I ran that to the drum bus. Actually, this is the summon folder. The drum bus itself, the parallel compression bus, if I can get that up on screen, is over here. And I'm using another UAD compressor, this one here, which was a freebie, so I grabbed it recently and figured I'd give it a try. So this tube compressor sounds really nice. Again, it's pretty subtle here, and I'm just putting in a small percentage of the drums to the parallel compression bus, just enough to kind of fill it up in the background. And so that is the drums. And again, this song was very short and simple, not a lot to it, but In constructing it, I realized that I just wanted to have a lot of airiness to the sound and make sure that if this did become a solo section to a bigger song, there would be space for it to do so. And there definitely is, because it's not too overbearing. It's not, sonically, there's not too much happening in this song. It's just pretty straightforward. And then, of course, the cleans, because, I got to do cleans. I don't know what to tell you. Let's check that out. Cool. And then, the end of the song for me always has to be kind of a climax where everything just kind of culminates all together. And you know that you're at the end of the track because it's just going to be, kind of a showcase for the rest of the song. So let me know in the comments what you guys think about this track. Make sure that you hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already. I'm coming to you weekly with these Monday Metal Mayhem sessions, and every week it's something new. So either it's going to be a new riff or an entirely new song, and new genres, new tones, different guitars. It's always something different, and I like to do stuff that's outside of my comfort zone, something that kind of challenges me and forces me to just think outside the box and be more creative. And I think this is a good way for me, myself, to be more disciplined with creating on a more consistent basis. All right, I'd like to give a big shout out to some of the other content creators that are also doing this new trend, which is this whole weekly riff vibe. Of course, you've got Connor Kaminsky, Joshua De La Victoria, Dusty's Mixing Tips, Dusty Bowles. He's amazing. He writes, he can play, he can mix and master. He's like a triple threat. Then you've got guys like Rankle Riffs. Rankle, he's awesome as well. Rabia, he comes out every so often with new tracks. I mean, this whole thing, I feel like it's just kind of building up momentum. This whole community with people doing weekly stuff, or whether it's every, bi-weekly. It's just a lot of fun to see all of the new music coming out, and you get a lot of ideas and inspiration from all these channels and more. So if I left other channels out, let me know in the comments what your favorite channel is, of who's bringing out the weekly riffs. I'm really enjoying being a part of this whole community too. So stick around. We're going to bring you a lot more content, and can't wait to see you in the next one. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. Until next time, I'm out of here. See ya!